Hi, I'm Kathie Zipp with Craft Brewing Business. Welcome to another edition of CBB on the Scene, a series in which we explore different craft brewing regions around the country. And so we're continuing to work on our Cleveland series today. So we're at Market Garden Brewery in Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm here with co-founder Mike Foran. Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So let's talk about what we're drinking here in these brightly colored cans.
Bright colored cans. We're drinking Chinook Strike IPA.
Okay, very nice. I like that sound.
Yeah, cheers.
Ooh, sorry about that.
Enjoy. No,
cheers.
So Chinook is it's dank and resiny. It's built for speed a little bit more than Citramax, which is our big, bold, dry hopped IPA. We came out with cans this year, and this is our first IPA offering in a can.
Delicious. So
thank you.
How else does an IPA differ from like a double IPA and some of the other styles of IPAs?
At its most basic, it's typically ABV. Now, as you up the malt bill to get to that higher ABV, typically to keep it in good balance, you have to double down on the amount of hops that you're using on the hot side or in dry hopping. So, double IPA, we do offer one right now, El Yugoso. That's code for the Big Juicy. That's 9.5% ABV. Whereas this is just like a entry, call it level IPA at 6% ABV.
Excellent. Well, it's a great IPA. Love the can. So here, I think it's really interesting how you have actually multiple locations in Cleveland. So we are sitting in the production brewery and tasting room.
Right.
But I understand that it all started across the street.
Yeah, so we actually got started as retailers. Myself and a couple other guys opened the beer market in 2005. My two business partners, Sam McNulty and Mark Premer. And we opened that business. We're operating for a couple years, really kind of at the initial stages of Ohio City's rebirth, at least on 25th Street. Great Lakes has been here for years, a lot of other institutions. But we loved selling beer. We loved drinking it even more. We figured we'd get into making beer. So we looked at opening a brew pub somewhere in Cleveland, and there was an opportunity right across the street to open the brew pub. And fortunately at that time, Andy Tavikram, who had been the brewmaster at Great Lakes and also at Dogfish Head, was moving back to open a brewery himself. And it was just like perfect timing. We needed a brewmaster, or really anybody that knew how to brew, and he was coming to open a business, and it just worked out great to do it together. So we opened the brew pub in 2011. We acquired some space down the block in 2012 to open a place called Nano Brew, which operates as our pilot system. So have a pretty unique setup here in the neighborhood.
Definitely.
We can make beer 22 gallons at a time at Nano Brew. Test it out ourselves, test new ingredients, styles, methods for brewing. And then we can also kind of market research it with our staff, our customers. We'll sell that keg and a half really in about 2 days, get that good feedback. And if we really like the idea, we feel like, all right, we need a little tweak, but it's headed somewhere, we'll make it at the brew pub on a 10-barrel batch and kind of do the same thing over again, but over an extended period of time with a larger scale brew. And if we really think we're onto something, it'll make its way over here to the production brewery.
So everything has been very well tested by the time it makes it over here.
Absolutely. We pride ourselves on not treating our customers like guinea pigs, for sure.
So can you talk a little bit about, Market Garden is primarily driven by its brew pub, and so what's the breakdown of on-premises and off-premise sales? What's kind of more competitive in Ohio right now?
I would say, well, first to break it down, we're going to close in on probably about, I should say, I think we did about 7,000, just short of that, barrels in 2018. I want to say about 20% of that was at our street operation. So we do obviously sell beer to all of our operations on the street. Right. When it comes to revenue, obviously you're getting a little bit more per pint on the street, so that number skews a little bit. But we have a healthy operation here on the street, but our production brewery distribution continues to grow and grow and grow to where we're becoming more balanced over time.
So again, you're in an area with a lot of craft breweries. Cleveland has a lot in general, but this area in Ohio City especially has a lot of them. I mean, you mentioned Great Lakes across the street. So what are some key ways that you kind of try to differentiate yourself as Market Garden, and then, has that kind of changed since you started?
I would say, for me, the biggest thing is I don't want us to be defined by local. I've since day one, as local became hotter and hotter as just the tag word and really what drives people's purchasing, I get that. I'm not going to get in the way of that. But at the end of the day, I've always felt like let's strive to be better than that. If we're just kind of saying, hey, just buy us because we're local, or people will say, oh yeah, I'm going to help out that guy down the street because he's local. I hate to say it, but it's like I almost take that as a backhanded compliment. It's like, no. I want to be the best. I want us to be the best at our trade, and I want people to buy our beer because they can't help themselves but buy it because they love it, not because they're just kind of helping out the guy down the block. So I know that's kind of screwy a little bit in an era where local is driving a lot of customer purchasing, but that's just kind of how I feel.
No, I think that makes sense. I mean, really, you want to be known for your beer first, and then you just happen to be local kind of deal.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So what I think is kind of cool that in this new facility, you have decided to offer tours. I actually took one a couple weeks ago. It was great. So I think it's really interesting. I love going to breweries and taking a tour and really learning about the process. But from a business standpoint, why did you decide to do that, and what does it kind of entail? And
we offer tours every weekend, and I should say Friday, Saturday, Sunday on the hour, Friday in the evenings. And a lot of it started as just people's curiosity. They wanted to know more about our business. As people turned to craft over the last 5-10 years, they wanted to learn more about the process. And we definitely did build the space out to accommodate for that. So as you walk through the brewery on a tour, I mean, you're walking on the brewing platform. You're walking through the tank farm, through the canning line, the bottling line, as you did yourself.
Right.
And then obviously, you're doing that as you're sampling beer. And we got a great team here that communicates our message. And being here in Ohio City, there's literally a couple million people a year come to the West Side Market, which is right off our parking lot. Really, it's between the brew pub and our production brewery.
Right.
We have all these people right in our backyard. You see the obnoxious sign on the top of the building. It's like we just wanted to welcome as many people in as possible because even when we just opened the brew pub, people would find their way back into the brew house and, hey, what's going on in here? And tell us more about it. So it's just kind of a natural fit.
Do you think it kind of brings people closer to your brand and just more interested in seeing what goes on behind the brewing?
Absolutely. I think as people walk through our brewery, I think they find that it was very expertly built out. We take great care of it. The cleanliness, that's the compliment we get all the time is there's not a lot of hoses and it's very clean. And by that, I mean, it's mostly stainless and, the brewing team does a great job of maintaining it. Obviously, Andy, this is I think it was his 7th or his 8th brewery that he's built, and he always jokes that he made all the mistakes at the other breweries. as this is his, passion project.
Right.
But I think truly, so many people's love affair with Market Garden begins at the brew pub. So, in terms of how do we sort of get that experience out to the market, so many people's experience began here. I think it focuses on offering variety and freshness. In addition to really driving our master brand, which is our guardian of transportation, which is our entry to the neighborhood, with the bridge here. So,
right.
How do we differentiate on a shelf? Again, variety and freshness, as Pat mentioned. We're managing multiple yeast strains, several different styles, lagers, ales, fruit infused, things like this that, we don't want to be defined by a single style. Like, we're not just making IPAs. So that's what people expect when they go to a brew pub. That's what we want to offer them on the shelf.
Well, like I said, I really did enjoy it. And I do want to touch base again on just how there is such a cluster of breweries in the area and kind of the pros and cons of that. So the thing is, a lot of the breweries here are within walking distance.
Right.
So do you find that it's still really competitive, or do you feel like people walk around and try multiple breweries and actually brings in more business?
I think, our unique neighborhood is such a magnet because there are multiple breweries to visit, all in walking distance, like you said. This is an industry discussion, and so I think everyone in the world knows that there's a lot of competition out there. But frankly, it's people want to live in an area and frequent an area that has a lot of restaurants and bars. We're kind of like the chefs of beer, and so they want to come and see what we have to offer as, what's on our menu this week. So I don't think there's a tipping point to where there's too many breweries, in the same way that if you're in a unique downtown area, you're never going to say this place has too many restaurants. I don't want to be here.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's really interesting. Let's talk about your distribution strategy. Right now, I understand that you are currently distributing exclusively in Ohio.
That's correct.
So how far and how much are you doing right now?
It's so yes, we're only in Ohio. I kind of describe it best by saying where we're not. We're everywhere in Ohio except for Toledo, Dayton, and Cincinnati. So we started in northeastern Ohio for about a year and a half, and then we added Columbus and all of central Ohio, and then we added southeast Ohio and a portion that goes out to the border in western Ohio. So, but again, it's really just everywhere but Toledo, Dayton, and Cincinnati.
And your physical locations are all in Ohio City? Or?
Correct, yeah. So we don't really have any ambition to open brewpub chains or anything like that. I know that's kind of a hot thing right now. We've been in the hospitality and retail business for 13 years. We know all that goes into it, and we're very happy with the success we've had here on 25th.
Right, and you have so many multiple locations working together here already.
Right, yeah.
So do you have any other plans to grow your distribution into those areas where you're not, or even out of state?
Yeah, we've definitely had a lot of inquiries, when are you going to come to this market, or just wholesalers reaching out about, being excited about bringing us into their market.
Right.
My opinion is I don't want to get too far over our skis. We've done a lot of growing, especially this past year.
Right.
It's been fantastic, and but we're also wary of where the industry is right now. So we want to be slow and steady winning the race and establish consistency with our brands and our brewery, our master brewery brand focus.
Speaking of brand focus and feel, how do you try to extend that to the shelf space when you're one of 100 different craft brews on the shelf? I mean, you definitely have an eye-catching color to your cans.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. There's somebody on our team I work with. Her name's Jenica, and specifically on a lot of the design front. And we work together with the initial packaging and these cans and some of the new brands that are going to be coming out very soon. And I always say that when I press go on a final design or a color or something like that, if it makes me slightly uncomfortable, it's probably a good idea. Just I'm not a design guy, so working on these projects are a lot of fun. So at the end of the day, we want to be master brand focused, because again, I feel like that's I want people to appreciate, respect, and believe in Market Garden Brewery, so that as we do put out new beers, they feel confident in, okay, I've had this brewery before. I'm going to try something new from them, rather than having to establish an identity with a single brand. By that I mean a beer style over and over and over. So
definitely makes sense. And also, you are offering cans as well as bottles. So why did you decide to make that decision?
Right, that was definitely a hot one for us. We opened with just bottles, I should say draft-in bottles. Honestly, it came down to we wanted the industry for canning to sort of catch up on the equipment side, on the manufacturing side, to basically our specs for a canning line of our size. So, there's been canning equipment out there. We just felt like we wanted to make sure that what we brought in to can our beer was maintaining the quality standards we've established with bottling, which, that's at our scale has been around for quite a while. We didn't really want to cut any corners, go the route of the mobile things like that. So when we did get into working with a company called PSA out of Akron, they're industry standard for seaming technology. They incorporated filling, and we put a lot of custom checks into our system itself. Giving you way more tech details than you need, but really it boiled down to we wanted to stay diversified in what we were offering to our customers. So there's a lot of people that still feel very comfortable and confident in drinking beer out of bottles. There are those that, or I should say beer from a bottle. There are those that prefer cans. We're happy to serve them all. So,
right.
And I think there are different styles that make sense to people, a little bit more in bottle, a little bit more in can. So that's kind of why, if you notice within our portfolio, our traditional style Pilsner and Hefeweizen, those are coming in bottles, and our, lime wit with tangerine comes in a can. So, we just want to stay balanced.
Yeah, that's a very interesting approach. So last question, what is next for Market Garden?
I hope you know, because I sure don't. No, I think growing our overall footprint is probably where we're headed next. We've established, we put out 6 core brands now, 3 in bottle, 3 in can, a rotating bottle, rotating can. So when it comes to establishing our presence in store footprint, we're there, So I think filling out the rest of Ohio is probably next on the docket, and/or some other areas, nearby states. But we've been out for almost 3 years now. We're not even in all of Ohio. Clearly, we like a steady approach and a sustainable approach. So we got some interesting styles coming out this summer that I think are going to really wow some people too.
That's awesome.
Can't share them yet. Sorry.
Okay.
Top secret.
Next video.
Yeah, next.
Well, thank you so much, Mike. It's been really interesting to learn what you're doing here. Really cool stuff. Great beer. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Cheers.
Cheers. Happy
Thank
Friday.
you. Happy Friday.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.